Privacy is important. It is important for everyone, including your employees. And consent is the most important part of privacy. So consent management is an important thing when it comes to privacy of your workplace, handling the information, personal information of your employees. We'll talk about this in this video. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on privacy. And as I said, let's talk about privacy with respect to workplace and specific in this video about the consent management practices with respect to workplace. Consent is a very important concept. Just to quickly brief up, consent is seeking the permission from the data principal. You are collecting my personal information, you need to seek my permission on collection, on usage, on storage, on deletion, as well as on sharing with third parties. Right? And personal information of your employees is as good as that of your customers. Personal information is personal information of any living being. Right? That's how privacy defines it. So you need consent. You need also the consent also because you collect a large volume of personal information even for employees. Apart from their basic contact details, their education qualification, their skills, their family structure, you collect their sensitive personal information like their banking. You collect their sensitive personal information like their biometrics. It could be one biometric, it could be more in some cases. You use their fingerprint for attendance for all the staff members, but for those who need to enter data center or any secure area, you need their facial recognition also. Right? They are all consents, and you run CCTV all across. Healthcare records. Right? Healthcare record is also considered as a sensitive personal information. And suppose there is an issue with an employee while working and you need to rush into a hospital and he is not in a condition to share his own healthcare information, his basic parameters. Then it is good that the organization has information, so organization can share it with the doctors immediately. Right? Important is that when you are hiring him, when you are onboarding him, or when you are refreshing his personal information, because you might be updating his healthcare information every 6 months, every 1 year, depending on your organization policy, take a consent that you are collecting your healthcare information for any emergency where you might need to share it with the healthcare professionals. That's very important. Collection, as I said, itself is a privacy process and it needs consent at the stage of collection itself. So when you are onboarding, take a consent of all the parameters, define details of it. Improper consent will violate privacy regulations. That's what DPDP Act says, that's what GDPR says, that's what most of the privacy regulations worldwide say. Core principles, simple. The consent has to be well informed. That means your employee should know why are you collecting a particular piece of information. It should be freely given, he knows the purpose. Right? He knows that you are collecting his healthcare information so that in case of emergency you can use it with the healthcare professional. Right? He should have that confidence. It should be condition free. It should not be that you are saying, I will take a consent. If you don't agree or if you don't give me the consent, then your performance won't be monitored. Then your appraisal won't happen. Right? No conditions like that. Specific for each and every purpose. And what could be possible purposes? We talked about the healthcare. We might use his address for sending anything at home. That means we are sharing it with third party. We might use his address to send him a gift at his anniversary. Here we are using his anniversary date, his address, and a third party to deliver. Three personal informations. Right? Some people may not be comfortable celebrating or announcing their anniversary in office. So you need to take a consent. Are you okay with this? And in detail, and these are only 3 examples. There could be bigger ones. For example, his consent for his facial recognition for entering the data center, his consent for the personal information getting shared with the Provident Fund or the payroll processing organization who are doing it for you. Right? So a huge amount of possibilities where you are going to use the personal information of your employees. Therefore, you need to take consent of each of them, which could be for a given purpose, which could be for a particular data type, like for healthcare. It is only for an emergency, right? He should also get an independent way where he can revoke his consent without impacting the employment. So again, a simple example. suppose someone is in finance department and on a cashier job, and the actual cash, not only in terms of cash, but also in terms of critical finance documents like checkbooks, balance sheets, they are all kept in a safe and secure wallet that opens with biometrics. Now his department has changed. Within finance, he's got elevated or in a different role. He is no more required to access this wallet. So he should have a provision to withdraw his consent. Ideally, when his role has changed, you should automatically disable it. But he should also withdraw his consent that I don't want my biometrics to be used for the secure finance area. Some of the best practices, of course, the withdrawal of consent is one of the best practices. Purpose clarity, the process should be clear, the purpose of the process should be clear. There should be clear privacy notice when you are onboarding anyone. He should know which piece of information being used for what. There could be granular and multiple consent forms. The DPDP Act says that tell me why are you collecting this information, what service are you going to give me, and then allow me to decide whether I want that service or not. And for the next service, again the same information, and so on. Right? It could not be an umbrella of saying we are collecting your personal address. We might be required to use it in various official activities like sharing with PF, sharing with bank and all that. No. Am I allowed to share with PF? Am I allowed to share with third party courier agency? Am I allowed to share with banking? You need to take consents that way. You should provide him a dashboard so that he can review what consent he has given. The dashboard should have an independent link where he can click and say, I will run my consent. My choice. Role change, you change it. I don't want to access that wallet. I don't want to have the access to get into the data center. I stop it. And most important part, you should log all the consent activities. This is true for any kind of consents. What are the common pitfalls that an employer should avoid? He should not integrate or combine his consent forms with other HR documents like the employment contract, employment terms, privacy notices. Many organizations get non-disclosure agreements signed. Right? Those documents have nothing to do with consent form. Privacy notice is issued and you get someone to sign that I have received privacy notice does not mean he has given me the consent. Consent form has to be different. Consent form should be updated and consent revoked or updated anytime whenever a role is changed. And when I say revoked, it could be granular. It does not mean that he has to revoke consent from everywhere. Not including consent forms while onboarding. Ideally, when you onboard, put everything together so that if he doubts any procedures, it gets clear at the time of onboarding itself. And an inadequate consent withdrawal mechanism. There has to be an independent link on the portal where he can click, check his consents, withdraw his consent, and they get effective at the earliest, depending on the type of consent. You cannot and should not use his consent for anything as a tool for monitoring his day-to-day working. You should build a privacy-first culture. If your employees are happy, if they are able to understand the relevance and the importance of privacy, they'll be able to take care of the customer's data or other associates' data, like vendors and other people, automatically, because they understand this is what is done for them and this is what they have to replicate to the external agencies. They are the people who will feel respected, and they are the ones who are representing you, and your representation will get improved to the outside world. Privacy should be considered as combination of productivity as well as protection. So treat your employees as your internal customers. Give them the same privacy rights as you give for your external customers, vendors, and other associates for your organization. That's about consent management practices for workplace or for HR. I hope you like the content of my video. Please press the bell and the like icon, subscribe to my channel, and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.